wanted to just acknowledge some of the elected officials that are here and some of the appointed officials, specifically Councilwoman Nancy Van Reese. Big hand for her, everybody. Mrs. Madison, she's a great advocate for Nashville, but in particular for Madison. And also Mayor Briley is here, and we appreciate you coming out, Mayor. And I think State Senator Janice Boland's somewhere around here, though I hadn't seen her. But thank you for coming, Janice. And Commissioner Brock Hill is here over Tennessee State Parks. All wonderful advocates for Nashville and Music City and nature and music. And those things sure do sort of coalesce right here. Also want to give a special thanks and shout out to John and Ava Meyer. But I hadn't seen them yet. Are they here? All right, there they are. So I'll tell a story, a couple of them, or one story, but it goes for a minute, a lot of speakers. But my kids go to school in Madison, right over here at St. Joseph's, and I've had a lot of serendipitous things happen to me in my life. One of them is I walked into a cave 10 years ago, had no experience in the music business, and had never even been in a cave in my life. And I had this idea and literally walked in a cave one man and come out another. And now we have Bluegrass Underground, and we own our own cave, and it's a PBS show, and it's awesome. And then a year later, me and a buddy that's back there, John Walker, we had this plan to do this show, sort of the, I don't know what you call it, the Grand Alt Opry or something. I don't know what we were doing. But we wanted to shine a light on music and musicians, and we started a show called Music City Roots. Which we're super proud of. And so I didn't know anything about the musical history of this place when I found it. I was trying to find a place near my kid's school, and I Googled the Madison zip code, and I see this 1920 stone farmhouse on 13 acres, and obviously it captured my imagination, and I drove out here. That was on a Friday, and the next day the owner of it was doing the selling it. And I pulled in these gates here and drove down this driveway, and there was an RV sitting there, and there was a Music City Roots sticker sitting right there on it. And God has to hit me over the head sometimes, but I just felt it was meant to be right then. And I knocked on the door, and it was somebody that I didn't know, had never met, but we knew a lot of the same people. It was John and Ava Meyer, and they saved this place in a lot of ways. We're here to honor and to preserve it, but John and Ava put in a lot of work in this place, in this barn we're sitting in 2013. There's pictures over yonder you can look at, but they said either put a match to it or tear it down. This was falling down, and to their credit, they saved it, and they did a lot of wonderful things. So big hand for them, y'all. Seriously, they're and so I'm gonna turn this over. I want to give a thanks to Carolyn and Scarlett and Jessica at the Metro Historic Commission, who have done a wonderful, wonderful job in helping us to circumnavigate the process of not only putting an overlay on this property, historic overlay, but also that we're doing the National Historic Registry and the stuff we're doing today with the marker. So we're trying to honor and preserve the wonderful history in so many ways. So I'm going to turn it over to the Executive Director of Metro Historic Commission, Mr. Tim Walker.
Thank you, Todd. Really appreciate it. I'm very honored to be here, as are many of the Metro Historical Commissioners. If you're a commissioner, would you raise your hand, just wave? Thanks. And as Todd mentioned, staff too. Carolyn Eller, Scarlett Miles isn't here, and of course Jessica Reeves, who worked so hard, as you said, on the National Register nomination, on the history and the historic marker, and I think even on setting up the invitation for the event today. So we really appreciate that. Jessica, you and Carolyn, can you wave your hand? I know they're in the back there. Thank you, guys. They're a little bit embarrassed there. But before we go on, I just want to thank a couple of more people. First, Dr. Carol Van West and the Center for Historic Preservation at MTSU. I gave Dr. West, I don't know if it was a phone call or an email, and asked him about helping out on this. after our first site visit with Todd, and he immediately said, I've got to do this. He's really become the expert in Tennessee on country music. He did the National Register nomination for RCA Studio A, if I'm correct, and Grand Ole Opry House, and so this was certainly in his wheelhouse. So really appreciate all the work you and your students did on this, all the research. Thank you, sir. I hate to keep thanking the same people, but Council Lady Van Rees gets such a big thank you for all the work she's done. She realized how important this is to Madison's heritage and some other sites she's responsible for, like Rainbow Ranch, and she's working on some others. Because a lot of Nashvilleians don't remember or know, or they're new to Nashville, didn't realize all the country music history that's here in Madison. So it's great that she's trying to celebrate that. So Council Lady, I don't see her. There she is. Thank you. And finally, Todd, I want to thank you yet again because, you know, a different owner, it wouldn't have this outcome, and you just embraced the history of this site. As you said, you wanted it listed on the National Register of Historic Places. You wanted it landmarked so it's protected after you leave, and we really, really do appreciate that in the office, so thank you. So I'm going to invite our state historian, who's also the director at the Center for Historic Preservation, Dr. Carol Van West, to come up. Dr. West.
Thank you. Oh, sure. Well, good afternoon, Madison. Come on, let's pick it up. You're blessed to be in one of the most historic places in this part of the city. I mean, if you can't get the vibe from this place of the music that helped to shape a nation and also the world, just get with it. I'll give you a brief lesson. I even brought a few props to use because some of you know I have to have my props. It starts with this man right here, Carl Smith. Carl Smith helped to make Columbia Record Studio down on Music Row, and he's become a sort of forgotten figure. He was from Union County, Tennessee. He came to Nashville, was a huge star, and Jim Denny wanted to keep him here, just like he wanted to keep Hank Snow over in another part of town, and therefore this place begins its history. Carl Smith, so important. But of course, we're really here in many ways for this lady here, June Carter. June, I feel, gets somewhat forgotten as well because she does marry Johnny Cash, and they do produce this absolutely awesome album, Jackson. And after that song hit the airways, nothing was ever the same for either of them for the rest of their lives. And what's funny about anyone who grew up in this area back then, I don't know, I heard Jackson so much when I was a kid, I can still sing it today. You know, it was such a huge hit, and it was sort of that type of thing that reset the clock for both June and Johnny Cash, and started a new tradition here at the house. And how can we talk about this without Mother Maybelle? Come on, let's hear a bigger hand for her. Just think, you're standing here at places she walked and lived and thought and sang and composed and lived. She is one of the rocks of all of American music. It doesn't happen without her family and then the legacy she helped to build right here in Madison. So Maybelle Carter, you deserve every kudo you ever get. But, friends, I really brought my props today because I do want to address someone who I think is very important in Tennessee's music history, very important in American music history, and this is where she grew up. And that's Carlene Carter. Now, friends, I got this album in 1978 and just thought, this is awesome. Finally, new sounds coming out of Nashville that I can sort of identify with. You know, something that was fresh, creative, and God, what a voice. You know, it was just a path-breaking record, and she wasn't done then. I'm sorry, I brought them all. Because where I think Carlene is really neglected, this is her second album. But it's really musical shapes. You know, this is where Carlene connected the best of the British New Wave movement to Music City. I mean, folks, she played on her albums. Paul Carrick of Squeeze played. Nick Lowe played. He was a great producer. He was the producer of Elvis Costello. You know, when you last played at the Ryman with Costello, I thought it was real interesting. He told the crowd, man, guys, she is so important. She's like the queen back in my time in Nashville. And I could tell no one got it. But she was. These records are so important, but Music Row didn't get it. You had to go overseas to get Blue Nun. Because by this time, well, this was something that was, this wasn't country. This was something really new. And then the next album, well, God, she put a French word on it. You know, craziness, craziness. But I tell you, that was a great time of creativity in Nashville. Elvis Costello came and did his album with Billy Sherrill at the Columbia Studios. You've got Carlene touring Europe. There's so many fans still of Carlene overseas. And I know this is about Carl Smith, June Carter, and Maybelle Carter, but it needs to also be about Carlene Carter, a very important figure. A very important person in our music history. And I just felt like today was the day that I could at least say that. You're welcome. So you can see I have more goodies, but they also told me, now don't do your usual thing and go on forever. So I certainly don't want to, because we actually came to hear her sing, right? You know, that's what this is really about, keeping the traditions alive and reminding us of the great debt that American music owes the Carter family. Now, locally, we owe a great debt to Miss Madison, the councilwoman for District 8. So, Nancy, it's your time to shine.
Good grief, you guys. Thank you so much for coming to District 8. You're beginning to discover what we have discovered along the way. I moved here in 1990, and I can't believe what this place has become to me and my family. I wanted to acknowledge some folks today. I know that the mayor's going to acknowledge some of the elected dignitaries, so I'm going to let him do his job on that part. But I also want to acknowledge that the Sturdivants are here, and Kitty Wells and Johnny Wright's family is a huge part of Madison history, and I thank you personally for coming today. Thank you. Also, the caretaker, Terry, is here for the Hank Snow's Rainbow Ranch. And so, Terry, raise your hand. If you want to hear some good stories about Hank. A lot has been said about this Madison Renaissance. And I tell you, it's always, and no matter what part of town in Nashville you're going to be in, it's going to be based on the people that live there. For those of us who actually live in this area, let's raise our hands. All right. That's right. We understand that this is something special, that we want to respect the history as we move toward the future. And I've always said that if there's going to be a Madison Renaissance, it has to be rooted in its musical heritage. It has to be rooted in its musical heritage. I really appreciate the folks up on Barbara and on Gibson on being able to have an excellent community conversations about the historic landmark, about the overlay, about the protection of this area. You're never going to see 20 condos out in that field. It's going to be what it is now. Yeah. So I appreciate the Historic Commission and the guidance of that, and for the continued assistance from the Madison Rivergate Chamber of Commerce and from the great folks at 54 and Madison Station and the amazing stories that we hear every day at that location. We're going to cherish this history, and we're going to bring it in as many ways possible to the new folks that are moving here, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that. Thank you so much for that opportunity. All right. And speaking of a bit of a family history, I'd like to introduce my friend and our mayor, Mr. David Briley.
So, Nancy's, I'm not going to talk long because that's how I like it. I think you do too. It's a great day in Nashville. I mean, as somebody who grew up here, this is the perfect day to take a nap. Let me tell you that. And in fact, I was taking a nap right before I came, and when I woke up, I was a little bit fuzzy, I think, and I left my speech lying somewhere else. So I'm not going to use a speech. Instead, I just want to talk about heart-to-heart with you for just a second. You know, Nashville is under more pressure now than probably ever before to homogenize a little bit, right? I mean, that's sort of how one of the ways to look at it. It's only through things like this that we're going to protect what is great about Nashville. I think, as somebody who grew up here and then moved away and came back, is it's sometimes it's kind of funky, and sometimes it seems like it shouldn't be where it is, and sometimes it only makes sense if you know the story about the story about the story. And so it's up to people like us to sort of take our gaze away from the skyscrapers and take our gaze away from the cranes downtown and sort of think back about the place that used to be here and try and identify some of the great things just to keep them. So this is the perfect example of that. I want to thank Tim Walker at the Historic Commission for everything he does every day, and all the commissioners on the Historic Commission who are here today. Brett Withers, councilman from the 6th District, which is almost as good as the 8th District. Actually, I don't know, Nancy.
No, they got restaurants.
They do have 5 points. But not for long. I mean, the competition is coming, I'm pretty sure, right? Okay. And so I grew up every Sunday driving from over close to David Lipscomb to Inglewood, where my grandfather lived. He was always taking a nap when I got there, too, so there must be some sort of genetic... Actually, no, it's something else that was at play there, I'm pretty sure. For those of you who know my grandfather's reputation, you know the story, right? Forget it, kids. Forget about it. I know Jill Sparing, the school board member for this part of town, is here today as well, so thanks to her. So when I grew up here, I was born in 1964. This part of town was the center of the city in many respects, political power, cultural activity, and I'm convinced that with Council Lady Nancy Van Reese's leadership, that we are headed back to that point in time. Although she can't run against me. There you go, thank you. But Nancy's doing a great job here. Madison is on the rise, and I look forward to celebrating more and more opportunities here in Madison. Thanks. And now to I think, wrap us up, right? I'm ready. We'd like to ask Carlene Carter to come on up to the stage.
Hi. I'm so emotional, and I'm going to play some music because that'll keep me from losing my shit. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that was one of my grandma's favorite words when she told a joke. She could never quite finish the word because she would start laughing so much that she couldn't get through it. I have so many wonderful memories here of growing up here. I was conceived in that house up there. And my mom and daddy loved each other very much, and they made me. So I was so grateful for that, and I always felt safe here, and I loved this property and this home, and this barn was a kid's dream come true. It was like treehouse on the ground. But so I mean, I'm just going to play some music and tell some stories as I go along. But boy, do I have some stories about this place, y'all. So I want to bring up my, the Carter family. I love being a part of the Carter family. I love being old Carlene Carter, but I love being a part of the Carter family. I'm very much a Smith at heart, but, I changed my name to Carter because of my grandmother. There were no more male Carters to carry on the name in the music, and so I became Carlene Carter. My dad still would send me a postcard or a letter, and it would say Carlene Smith in big letters, and then in little bitty parentheses, it'd say Carter on it. But that was amazing, going up there to that gate. And where that place, where we put the memorial sign, what do you call it? The historical marker. Right. I was going to tell y'all that back when we were kids, my little sister Rosie and I and our neighbor, Pat Parker, who lived at the end of this driveway out here, and she was a part of our house so much that we actually put a gate in between the fences. Anyway, we used to climb up on those, stone columns out there, and you could see the drive-in theater across the railroad tracks. Now, I couldn't hear nothing, but we thought we were in it. We thought we were stealing entertainment. Anyway, I could tell you a million stories my whole life. Whenever I think of home, I think of this place. And anyway, I learned to play the guitar in that house. I learned to play the piano in that house. I watched my grandmother and my mom write Ring of Fire. I remember running around the table in the dining room saying, "My mama wrote a hit song, my mama wrote a hit song." And because Mama said to me, if you could ever just write one little song, it could change your life, If you could ever just write one simple little song like the one I wrote for Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire. And so, I did become a songwriter because of that. But long before that, all I ever really wanted to do was be a Carter girl. And I watched my mother and my aunts. They practiced in the house, and we traveled around looking at things. But anyway, I always got to sing this song whenever I'd worm my way back into the Carter family over the years. I've come and gone many times, and I am a full-fledged Carter forever, y'all, no matter what. But thank you. I wanted to bring up my daughter, Tiffany, and my cousin, Lori Carter Bennett, to sing a little bit of the Dixie Darling with me, because this was always my little tune. This is Tiffany, my daughter. Tiffany Anastasia Lowe. Do you want to go on that side? It doesn't matter. Watch the harp. I'll watch the harp. Watch the harp. Watch it. I went here because so Lori and I grew up running around here, and And Tiffany grew up here too, and my son Jackson, who was here and unfortunately had to leave pretty quick. But we're gonna do a little Dixie Darling Girls, right?
All right.
Okay, and I know I said I learned to play the guitar here. Well, here we go. My Dixie darling, listen to the song I sing beneath the silver moon, with my banjo right in tune. My heart is ever true. I love no one but you, my Dixie darling, my Dixie dream. When I'm another Mason-Dixon line down where the honeysuckles are entwined, there's where the southern winds are blowing. There's where the daisies growing, 'cause of the nothing the gay finery, whirling around in the society, singing a song of Dixie darling, where I long to be. My Dixie darling, listen to the song I sing beneath the silver moon, with my banjo right in tune. My heart is ever true. I love no one but you, my Dixie darling, my Dixie dream. Yeehaw, y'all! I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd ever be standing on a stage in this old barn.
I never thought you would either.
Y'all wouldn't believe the stuff that lived out here when we were kids. Great hiding places, too. Going down south to have a big time. See my boy in old Carolina, drink his booze, do as I please. All them boys along to squeeze, singing a song of Dixie darling. There's where I long to be, going down where the jelly roll's growing, with my Dixie dream. My Dixie darling, listen to the song I sing beneath the silver moon, with my banjo right in tune. My heart is ever true. I love no one but you, my Dixie darling, my Dixie dream. My Dixie darling, my Dixie dream. Yeah!
All right, now let's see. Oh my God. What else we do? Oh, I know. How about we do a little bit of the, oh, I know what I'm going to do. We're going to do something that I think everybody in the whole wide world probably knows. This song right here. I'm going to try my best. I listened to these old tapes. Well, you know what? I was going to tell y'all something about being in this barn. As I look out there, we used to have a gasoline pump that was out there for the tractor.
Yeah. The tractor's a whole other story, but the gasoline pump was out there, and my sister Rosie and I, we were always getting into mischief, and it had an underground tank where the big truck would come and fill it up with gas or petrol, whatever it was in there. But we were curious about what was down the hole that they put the pump thing in. So Rosie and I were down there one day, and we got our hands on some matches. And we thought we would just throw a match down there, we'd be able to see what was in the tank. So we ran down there, and we dropped a match in there, and we ran away because we got scared. We didn't know why, but I think God directed us to run like hell. And we ran to the woods. Now, the woods are over there by where Cash Lane is now, and there's some nice duplexes over there, but that used to be our hideout. We ran and we hid out as the thing exploded and blew a big hole in the ground out there. And we said we didn't know what happened. We were in the woods,
And so there was a few little things like that happened over the years. It was just one of many. I'll come up with a few more in a minute. I also want to talk about, we lived here with my stepdaddy, Rip Nix. I don't know if any of y'all know here, but my Aunt Millie's here today. And Rip was the wonderful man, and he was always so jolly and happy. And but he was an inventor of sorts, and he invented this new substance that he was going to pave the driveway with to have a road to come down to the barn. But he was going to test it out on just up to the garage area. And so he was going to surprise Mama. She's getting home in the morning from the road, and she's coming home, and he's paved it, and it looks really good. We think everything's fine. Next morning, June comes in, and she says, "What is that pile of rubble down there next to the barn?" It had slid on down the hill. It had a drying problem. I don't know what happened, but it had slid on down the hill. Oh my God, I'm just having all these memories come back, y'all. We could be here for days.
The go-kart that Grandpa Ezra put together down here.
Oh yeah, Granddaddy was a pack rat, of which anyone that ever knew my mother June, she also too was a pack rat, but she was a pack rat that had everything where she knew exactly where it was, and it was all polished. Yeah. Granddaddy had mason jars of every kind of thing you could think of, every nut, bolt, and screw or nail. And mystery vegetables that he canned. There was always a big garden going on. And anyway, I think I should play some music before I go completely off track. Okay, what did I decide that we were doing? Oh, I know. I know what we're doing. I would twine with my mingles and waving black hair, with the roses so red and the lilies so fair, and the myrtle so bright as the emerald dew, pale and leader and eyes look like blue. I would dance, I would sing, and my life shall begin. That's Lori's cue. I will charm every heart in his crown. I will sway a little low when I walk from my dreaming. My idols were clay. A portion's love had all blown away. Promised to love me and called me his flower, that was blooming to cheer me through life's dreary hour. I long to see him and regret the dark hour. He's gone and neglected his pale wildwood flower. Thank you. Okay. All right. I'm going to switch the order. And there's a guitar stand right here, too. Oh, okay. This is where we always get in trouble. It's like, little man from the village needs to be up here.
I used to be the little man.
I'm going to do one little thing on the altar harp because that was Grandma's favorite. And then I'm going to get my friends Jeff and Jamie up here with us. Wanted to say hi to all my relations from up in Virginia, where the Carter family came from, and they came down to Nashville and joined the Grand Ole Opry. Can you scoot that little stool up under your mama's butt? Yeah. So, y'all having a good time today? Because I woke up this morning and it was pouring rain, and I was like, shoot. Just shoot.
That's right. That's all.
But
shoot.
you know what? I couldn't comprehend that this barn was going to be so nice. It really is nice. Anyway, here we go, y'all. So Tiffany used to do a rap version of Dixie Darling back in the day.
Lord, yeah.
We were on the road with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band back in 1991. Was that right? Mm-hmm. We toured Canada. We had the best time ever, and Tiffany had a really good time.
Yeah, I was her guitar tech. Too.
She was my guitar tech, and she would come on stage, and she always was dressed to come on stage. But the best looking guitar tech on the planet, and she would walk on stage, and they would just forget I was there, and she'd get a standing ovation, and they would go crazy. She's just handing me the guitar, and I was like, I think you got a little something there, Tiff, that you could work with.
It's called short shorts.
And over the knee socks. See, it's just the way we roll, baby. If I was on some foggy mountaintop, I'd sail away to the west. I'd sail out around this whole wide world to the boy I love the best. If I had listened to what Mama said, would not have been here today. Wishing for things that I'll never have, and weeping my sweet life away. If I was on some foggy mountaintop, I'd sail away to the west. I'd sail out around this whole wide world to the boy I love the best. Not quite Ronnie Williams, but I'm working on it, buddy. You want to go? You want to go? Oh, you want to go? Cause me to weep. Oh, okay, here we go. She caused me to weep. She caused me to mourn. She caused me to leave my home. Those lonesome pines and those good old times. I'm on my way back home. Yeehaw! On some foggy mountaintop, I'd sail away to the west. I'd sail all around this whole wide world to the boy I love the best. Come on, Lord. If I had listened to what Mama said, I would not have been here today. Wishing for things that I never had, breathing my sweet life away. Yeah! If I was on some foggy mountaintop, I'd sail away to the west. I'd sail all around this whole wide world to the boy I love the best. To the boy I love the best. To the boy I love the best. Whoops. Yeah.
Okay, we forgot to yodel. I forgot what I was doing there. We forgot to yodel. It's all right. Okay, here we go. We just throw it together up here.
All right, now we're ready.
Now we're ready.
Yes, thank you, honey.
Let me get out of their way.
Okay. All right, you come over here.
I'm coming over here.
Come over here. We're going to let some fellers on the stage. Now, I just want to say back, Lori, I believe you were there. You definitely were. First time that we ever played with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
I even remember the date.
What was the date?
November 10th, 1973, Morgantown, West Virginia.
Morgantown,
University
West
of West Virginia. It's the only date I ever remember working in my life.
I remember the city.
It's the only date.
Because it was
It was a big deal.
It was really special, you know, because
a bunch of us came.
we were excited, you know, because we liked the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and
Yeah.
we were very excited, actually. I think they were excited, too, to meet Maybelle's granddaughters, right? Anyway,
We had an extra one or so there, too, didn't we?
yeah, we had Rosie was there, and Roseanne was
Roseanne was
there.
there, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually playing piano in the Carter family, which was not a irregular instrument. But anyway, we grew up kind of oddly in the way that musical families do. We traveled around with Grandma driving about 100 miles an hour on average. And, you know, she didn't make any difference to her if she was going to bowling or to pick up her dry cleaner or to the grocery store or to go play a show. She was going fast because she had to get there. And particularly if it was gambling of any kind, she really liked that.
Bingo,
Yeah, there was a lot of card games up in this house and a lot of beautiful...
Don't get mad.
Don't get mad. We liked that game a lot because that's their motto. But we grew up in the back seat of a car, too, you know, and really there wasn't a whole lot of room to sit down, so we were on the floorboard a lot, and we make these little beds down there and small ourselves. And my mom had always called my sister Rosie, who, God bless her, she's up on tour with the Angels with Aunt Nita and Aunt Helen and Mama, Grandma. But we called her the Wildwood Rose. And so we would be car sick as hell, but it didn't really matter because once we get there, we could stand on the side of the stage and wait to go out to get showed to the people, because that's what you do when you're Carter. They throw you out there, and if you got anything to offer, you might get to stay. Yeah. And so basically, as a result, we all learned how to sing. Tiffany was like 5 when I started throwing her out there. If you had anything at all to offer, you might get to hang around, and if you didn't, that was just tough because you better figure something out that you could do. And so anyway, I wrote this song about those days, and I wrote this around when I was thinking about when my grandma passed away up here, and I think she went out the way she lived, peaceful and sweet and smiling. She went and played bingo that night. That was all she wanted to do. So I was going to see if Jeff and Jamie want to come up. It's Jeff Hanna and Jamie Hanna.
We could sit out here and listen to stories for another hour or two, by the way. Really great. So cool. In my grandma's house, her children would sing. Guitars that twang and their laughter would ring. I was little, but I was the biggest kid. I wanted to do what the grown-ups did. In an epic shiny car, we'd head down the road to sing for the miners who brought out the coal. Many times slept on the floorboards cold, on a quilt with my little sister, the wildwood rose. And if I could change a thing in this world, I'd go back to the days when Grandma and her girls were sweet and sweet and low. Me and the wildwood rose, we'd be way down the road by the break of dawn. Biscuits and gravy and a truck stop song in a world on my own. Saw what I saw in the rearview mirror. I'd get a wink from my grandma. And if I could change a thing in this world, I'd go back to the days when Grandma and her girls were sweet and sweet and low. Me that she died. My daddy called me and he started to cry, and I rode on an airplane with all of my pain, and my tears would not stop. Stood in a circle and sang. And if I could change a thing in this world, I'd go back to the days when Grandma and her girls were sweet and sweet and low. For me and the wildwood rose, for me and the wildwood rose, for me and the wildwood rose. Hey, ho, hey, ho, ooh, oh.
I thank y'all so much. I also want y'all to say hello to my cousin Rita Forrester, who is AP and Sarah's granddaughter. And she has the Carter Fold up in Virginia. Anytime anybody's traveling up Virginia, go by the Carter Fold. They'll make you some good food and get you some good music. And she keeps it running. And there's the AP Carter Museum up there. It's really quite. It's worth the trip, y'all. And you can go during the colors. You can see the Smoky Mountains in their natural habitat.
It's frozen in history. It is frozen in time.
It's beautiful. It's a lovely place, and Jeff Hanna's been there. So, would you like to say something, Jeff?
Yes, please.
Because you really have a big part in keeping the music of the Carter family alive in so many ways. I mean, it really did. It was a changing day that day in Morgantown. Because of y'all, I never really realized the impact my grandmother had on music until I saw 5,000 young hippies smoking pot, sitting cross-legged, get up and give my grandmother standing ovation just for walking on stage. And a large part of that was to do with the fact that Jeff and the fellers kind of brought Grandma and Earl, all those guys, Doc.
Yeah, Merle Travis.
Merle Travis brought them all to the light of a younger generation that might have gone amiss.
Oh, man.
So thank you, darling. You know I love you.
Well, I love you, sweetie. But you remember what your grandma used to call us?
Yes.
Them dirty boys.
Them dirty boys, yeah.
We almost changed the name for a while because it had a good ring to it.
She could never really remember. I think she could remember, but I just think she just thought it was nitty gritty. I don't know.
Yeah, nitty gritty tongue twister.
Yeah, it's too much of a tongue twister.
Maybelle Carter was my first guitar hero. When I was a kid, I lived in I was raised in Southern California, a surfer, you know. It was, not exactly ground zero for country music, but the folks I loved were the Carters and the Scruggs and Merle Travis. But when I was a little teenager, I had a Pete Seeger instructional LP that taught you how to play the guitar, and way before YouTube, kids. But he had a section on there learning how to play the Carter Scratch. So here I was, 15 years old, learning how to play Wildwood Flower. And 9 years later, Earl Scruggs walks in the studio at Woodland and says, "How would you feel about Maybelle coming in and doing some recording with us?" So I'm getting chills thinking about that. It was amazing. And she was, just absolutely, our favorite sessions were the Maybelle sessions. It was like we had to clean up now I find out we didn't have to clean up our language, but we thought we did, so we were on our best behavior.
Her only word was the S word.
The S word.
The S word.
Well, yeah, so that was out of it, yeah. So we wouldn't say it if Maybelle didn't. So, but it was so great. It was so great getting to know her, and then getting to tour with you guys, and getting to tour with Carlene. And on the Second Circle record, we had your mom and Johnny, and your aunt Helen and Anita, and they did Life's Railway to Heaven with us. And on the third Circle record, your mom and John came back again, and we did some, we did press on Diamonds in the Rough, So,
Yeah.
wow. We've had a great life, folks, I just want to say. And this is going in there, too. Todd, thank you for asking us. We're so honored to be here. Part of this, this is just a beautiful, 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 beautiful thing. And I got to come up to this house a few times back in the day. And
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was fun. It was fun.
We had some trampoline competitions, I believe, up here. We're trying to find new and sober ways to have fun. And so we invented these. We were. And we had these great barbecues, and there was like so many cool people around, and we would have trampoline competitions when things would kind of start to get, kind of like a little boring or something. We'd lose track of what was going on. We'd get a trampoline competition going. It was amazing.
Don't do that so much anymore, but This is my son, Jamie Hanna, by the way.
Yeah, yes.
Hello. And in true country music fashion, Jamie's now joined our band, and we're so happy to have him in the Dirt Band. Hey, man. We never made him ride on the floorboards of the car, but that's next. We've had some sketchy buses, though, so This is a song that we did with Maybelle on the first Circle record, recorded at Woodland Sound Studio in 1971, August. Carlene, this is in your key.
People's Key of C.
People's Key of C. So I'm going to try to...
There's a dark and a troubled side of life. There's a bright and a sunny side too. Though we meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. If we'll keep on the sunny side of life.
Oh, the storms and its fury broke today, crushing hopes that we cherish so dear. Storms and clouds will in time pass away, and the sun again will shine bright and clear.
Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. If we'll keep on the sunny side of life. Let us greet with the song of hope each day. Though the moment be cloudy or fair, let us trust in our Savior always. He'll keep us everyone in His care. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. If we'll keep on the sunny side of life. If we'll keep on the sunny side of life.
Thank you guys so much. I just keep seeing faces out there that matter to me so much, and I appreciate you. Jamie, I love you, darling. My stepdaughter's here. We both just moved back to Tennessee. I am so happy to be back home. I just moved back here from California. I don't know what I was running around for. I think I was chasing the sunshine, but you know what? A little rain ain't never hurt nobody. And I'm really glad to have some rain in my life these days. So I'm happy to be back. I live in East Nashville, y'all. Woo! I almost thought of, like, if I'd have known the barn was in such good shape, I might have just said, Todd, you know, can we just make a little Carter corner over here for old Carlene and her dogs? But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming and all the people that put this together. In Utah, God bless you, and everybody that's lived in this house that came today. And I want to thank my children for all the memories that we had here. I love you, baby. I love you, Jackson. I think he had to go to work. Yeah. Anyway, you ready, buddy?
I'm ready, buddy.
All right, buddy.
I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when I saw that hearse come rolling for to carry my mother away. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I said to that undertaker, undertaker, please drive slow, for that lady you are howling, and I hate to see her go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Play with Jamie. When we did the second Circle record, we wanted another verse, and Jimmy Ibbotson, God bless him, decided he could write a verse for Will the Circle Be Unbroken. Hey, what the heck? Let's write a new verse for Let It Be while we're at it. But it got recorded, and it's beautiful, and Jamie's going to sing it for you right now.
We sang songs of childhood, hymns of faith that made us strong, songs that Mother Maybell taught us. Hear the angels singing along. Let the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Now sing.
Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Will the circle be unbroken by and by,
Lord,
by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the
sky.